Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're diving into a text that's a wild mix of philosophy, mysticism, and even a bit of science fiction. And its whole purpose is to challenge everything you think you know about who you are.
So, right out of the gate, we get hit with this really profound, kind of baffling idea. What does that even mean? Well, think of it this way. What if the whole search for yourself is just a giant game of hide-and-seek the universe is playing with itself? This is our starting point.
And hey, if you're already feeling a little confused, that's a good thing. That feeling of uncertainty is exactly where this exploration is supposed to begin. This isn't about finding easy, neat answers. It's about learning to ask better questions and getting comfortable living in the mystery.
So first up, let's start our quest by looking at some ancient Eastern traditions. Because let's be real, they've been wrestling with this exact question for millennia.
Here's the first big question the text throws at us. When you say, I am hurting, or I feel separate, who exactly is that I? The challenge here is to actually trace that feeling back to its source. If you follow that thread all the way back, what do you actually find there? An empty space? A silence?
And you know, there are a bunch of different ways to approach this. Take these four thinkers. They all took different paths to the same mountaintop. Ramana Maharshi just relentlessly asked, who am I? Until the question itself dissolved. Nisargadatta stripped everything away, saying, even I am is too much. Krishnamurti was the ultimate rebel, tearing down every system. And Vivekananda basically roared that the divine is your birthright, something you claim. Four different flavors, all pointing to a reality way beyond the everyday ego. And this idea of the absolute goes even deeper. It suggests that our true nature isn't even our consciousness. It's the silent source from which consciousness arises. It's what's there in deep, dreamless sleep. And the craziest part? It isn't some distant goal you have to strive for. It is this, right here, right now.
So, the big takeaway here is that the entire spiritual search might just be a divine game. The universe pretends it's lost just so it can have the thrill of being found again. That feeling of separation you have, in this view, that's not a problem. It's part of the fun.
Okay, so we've been in the mystical East. Now we're going to do a hard pivot over to the rational West. But here's the twist. We're about to see that the very tools we use to think, language, and logic are a lot more wobbly than they seem.
Just think about the pillars of Western thought. Plato's forms gave us this idea of a perfect world we could never reach, a useful fiction, but still a fiction. Then Aristotle's categories gave us all these boxes to put things in, like subject and object, and honestly, we've been stuck inside them ever since. These ideas didn't just describe reality, they built the framework for it.
Then you get someone like Wittgenstein, who suggested that maybe our biggest philosophical problems are just linguistic traps. He said we play different language games, and when we use words from one game in another, we tie ourselves in knots. We're literally getting tangled up in our own language.
And this takes us to Foucault, who showed how objective knowledge is often just a tool for social control. He argued that powerful institutions don't just punish a criminal, they actually create the very category of the criminal to justify their own existence. Power doesn't just find truth, it gets to define what truth is.
So with our philosophical foundations crumbling, the text throws us into even weirder territory, science fiction. This is where the concepts of human and self aren't just questioned. They are radically dismantled and put back together in strange new ways.
I mean, sci-fi really pushes this question to its terrifying limits. It forces us to confront the very boundaries of our own identity. What happens when you have to merge with an alien, or upload your mind to a computer, or mutate beyond recognition just to keep going? Who are you then?
And here we see three totally different responses to the great unknown. Le Guin urges us to be cautious, to calculate the cosmic cost of our actions. Butler, on the other hand, demands radical adaptation. The universe doesn't care about your feelings, so you either change or you die. And then you've got Lovecraft, who just screams for us to run away, convinced that some truths are so huge they'll just shatter our minds.
Now the text fuses these ideas into something truly chilling. A universe that doesn't hate us, it loves us. But its love is a force of consumption, of merger, of annihilating the individual self. It's like a motherly cosmic horror that sings you a lullaby as it absorbs you back into itself.
At this point in our journey, all the systems, all the philosophies, the religions, the stories, they just start to collapse under their own weight. We're led into this beautiful, creative chaos where no map can guide us anymore. And the text just starts hammering us with these dizzying questions, one after the other, to speed up the breakdown. What if there's no self? Then what if reality is just a story? And if it's a story, what if that story is a virus? Each question just pulls the rug out from under the last one.
So then, inspired by William S. Burroughs, the text performs its own deconstruction. It just cuts up language and throws it at us. But here's the thing. Watch what your brain does. You can't help but find patterns, create meaning. It proves that we're co-creating reality as we go. Our brains are pattern-making machines.
And this all leads to a powerful conclusion. Every map we've ever made to understand reality, religion, science, you name it, is just that, a map. It's not the territory itself. They're useful tools for sure, but we make the mistake of thinking they're the real thing.
So, after that total deconstruction, what's left? You might think it's just despair, but the text suggests something else. It points to a profound and actually very simple way of living without needing a map at all.
The path forward, then, is this radical letting go. It's not about choosing non-belief over belief. It's about releasing our tight grip on any single story. It's about seeing that all our stories, scientific, spiritual, personal, are just patterns showing up in the same open space of consciousness.
And this is the real prize we bring back from the journey. It's not some grand answer. It's a quiet acceptance of life as it is, with all its messiness, its uncertainty without the anxiety. It's the freedom that comes from no longer needing to have it all figured out.
And this brings us to the final, amazing shift in perspective. The search ends when you realize you were never separate from what you were looking for. That holy sight you were seeking, you are it. You are the universe experiencing itself. Your eyes are its eyes.
And so we're left not with a neat conclusion, but with one last echoing question. What if the whole point of the cosmic joke isn't to get the punchline, but simply to be part of the laughter? Thanks for exploring that with us.